Hi everybody, in this video we'll learn more about the Power Query tools and more about how to prepare and clean our data. There is a data set in the previous video, in video number 1 of Power Query. It's very important to download it before you start this video, and it is very important to practice while watching the video. To grab my data set to the Power Query editor, I will go from Data, Get Data, and then from File, my dataset is CSV. So from File, from Text CSV file. Select your dataset from its location and then import. And to open your dataset in the Power Query editor, just click Transform Data. Our dataset is loaded now in the Power Query editor. This dataset is registration of the crimes in US since 2022. And here is the name of the output file or the output table. After we clean our data, we will get an output query or table, and we can edit its name from here. Here, the steps, all the steps that we will apply here in the Power Query will be recorded here step by step. And this is very useful for automation, which means that you can reapply all the steps instead of repeating them to the available source. You can change the data source from here, from this source. Here you can see data in columns. You can edit the name of the column by double-clicking the column name and then write the new name and enter. You can reorder the columns. Click on the column name, drag and drop it where you want. As you see, there is a vertical green line. It means that you can leave your column here. And here you can see the new steps are recorded here. I will take it back to here. You can select more than one column by clicking a column, then hold Ctrl and click the other column. If you need to select contiguous columns, you can click or select the first column in range, then hold Shift and click the last column in range. Sometimes when you get data, especially from the web, Power Query may not be able to recognize where is the header row. So you may find the header row as data. In this case, you can use this option from Home, use first row as headers if you have your headers are inside the data in the first row. If you click this drop down triangle, you can also use headers as first row. If the first row is data, if the header is already data and not a header, you can use headers as first row. And now you can see the first or the header as a first row. And the column headers take default names like column 1, column 2, which are not descriptive. But here we have our header row in the first row, and we can use this option, use first row as headers. In general, to work with data preparation and cleaning, or generally work with the columns and rows inside your data set, you can use the right click or you can use the ribbon. For example, if I need to remove a column, I can right click on a column. You can also remove multiple columns together, so you need to select them before applying remove. Right click in the column and then remove. This will remove the selected column or columns. Remove other columns will remove all other columns and keep the selected column or columns. If you select, for example, 2 columns and then choose remove other columns, these 2 columns will remain and all other columns will be removed. Duplicate columns if you need another copy of the same column. Also, if you look here at Home tab, here we have remove column as well. The same remove column for removing selected columns and remove other columns for removing other unselected columns. What about the rows? From here, we can remove or keep some rows. From remove rows, remove top rows and remove bottom rows, we'll remove certain number of rows from the top or from the bottom. For example, remove top rows. Here you can write the number of rows you need to remove from the top of your data set. If I write, for example, 100, it means this will remove the first 100 rows from your data set. Remove bottom rows. If I write here 100, this will remove the last 100 rows from your data set. Remove alternate rows will remove a row and keep the other, or alternatively. Remove duplicates will remove the duplicated rows. I will remove duplicates because this is very important data cleaning. If you have undesired duplicates, you have to remove duplicates. Remove blank rows to remove any blank rows inside your data set. You know, when you collect raw data, it is possible that you get data from different offices, from different persons, and or maybe you download your data from the web, for example, and occasionally you may have some unnecessary empty rows in between your data or duplicated data, and it's very important in cleaning to remove these unnecessary duplicates and unnecessary blank rows. Remove errors will remove errors, any cell that contains error. Keep rows is opposite to remove. Whatever you will choose here, it will keep those rows and remove the others. Keep top rows. If I write here 100, means keep the first 100 rows and remove all other rows. The same, keep bottom. If you write 100 rows, it means it will keep the last 100 rows and remove all the others. Keep range of rows if you need to select and keep specific range in your data set. First row in range and number of rows. If you need to start from row 120, for example, and you need to keep 1000, it means it will keep 1000 rows from 120. Keep duplicates will maintain the duplicates, will keep only the duplicated rows and removes the others. Keep errors will keep only the errors and remove the others. You may ask why I should keep duplicates or errors, because sometimes you need to study or to see whether these errors are real errors or you need to replace them with something else, or you need to check the duplicates data. So you can query the duplicates to check them and to analyze them. You can also sort your column ascending or descending. From here, keep an eye here. Notice that every step is recorded here. And keep an eye here because anything you will do will be transferred into a formula here. After you removed your duplicates, unnecessary columns, unnecessary rows, you need to check the data types of the data of the columns that you have. Beside every column name, you will see an icon like this with different symbols. This represents the data type of this column. For example, 1, 2, 3 means number, whole number. This means date and time. This means a text data type. But what if I need to change the data type? For example, from here, you can click on the icon beside the column. And here you can see many data types. Or you can use a right click on the column name, and from a change type, you will see different data types as well, the same. So I will change this into text. I need the code as text. Here I need only date in these two columns. So I will select these two columns, then right click, date, change type, and then date. We need to go over other column to see which data type in which column needs to be adjusted or changed. If you look at the columns, you will find a filter button beside each column name. This filter button is very important because you can use it to make more cleaning. For example, you can sort your data according to this column, ascending or descending. You can remove empty. Remove empty will remove the blanks and the null values in this column. And here you have the data inside this column. If you need to remove anything, you untick it. For the filter in a data type, in a date column, we have the same like remove empty, and we have data. You can uncheck the data that you don't need. Let's remove the empty. I'll go back, and here date filters. It is very useful to filter depending on date values. Equals will allow you to keep data for a specific date. So I will choose equals, and when I write in here any date, like for example, January 11th, 2022, it means keep the data with the date reported equals to January 11th, 2022, and remove all the others. Again, date filter. Before any date you will write, Power Query will keep the dates before this date and will remove any date after this date. So for example, if I choose before and I write January 11th, 2022, it will keep data with the dates that are before this date. And all the other data will be removed from the query. This is the same with after, data filter, after, but it will keep the data that after the date that you specified, and all the data before that date will be removed. Between will keep data between two dates. For example, if you need to keep only data in 2022, I will choose between, and here I will choose 1/1/2022, and here December 31st, 2022. It means keep the data with dates between this range, and these dates will be included. So from the first day in 2022 to the last day in 2022. That will keep data for only 2022, as you can see now. If you need to revert this action or any other action, you can simply go to this applied steps and find out the actions that you need to revert or undo, and just click this delete icon. I will remove this filter, and now my data is back to all dates. Date filters again. In the next will allow me to keep data in a next period or previous period in case of in the previous. In the next, here you can choose the unit, maybe days, hours, maybe seconds, quarters, or year. You can choose the units that you need. For example, if I need to see the data in the next year, I will write 1, so it means keep data that is registered in the next year. For example, you choose months, and you write 6. It means keep data in the next 6 months. The same also in the previous. You can choose the unit and how many of these units previously in the past you need to see. Like for example, if I choose months and 6, it means keep data for the previous 6 months. Is earliest will keep data with the earliest recorded date in this column, which means the first reported data. is latest will keep data with the latest date in this field, which means we'll keep the last most recorded data with regard to date. Is not earliest, it means keep all data except the data for the earliest date you can see in this column. Is not latest, it means keep all data except the data of the latest date that you see in this column. Here we have units like year, quarter, months, minutes, seconds. Here the situation is general because it will compare to your system date and time. We can take here as an example, year next year will keep data of the next year. And the next year with regard to your system year. For example, the system now is 2025. When I choose next year, will keep data with dates of 2026. This year will only keep data that is registered in this year, which is 2025. Last year will keep data if our system date is 2025. This last year will keep data of 2024 and will remove all other data. Year to date will keep the data from the beginning of the current year to today. For example, today is 22nd of August 2025. For example, today is August 22nd, 2025. When I choose year to date, it will keep data with date reported from January 1st, 2025 to August 22nd, 2025 in the same year, from the beginning of the current year to the current date, which is today. The same for quarter, months, and everything. It will compare with your current date or your current system date. I will need to see other types of filters like the text filter. So we have, for example, area name is a text data type. So let's have a look on its filter. We can use remove empty. If we don't need to leave the area name empty, we can use the text filter. Equals will find the data that equals the data that you've specified. For example, area name, if I need to see crimes in Pacific area, I will choose equals, and here I will write Pacific and okay. This will only keep the crimes in Pacific area if I need to analyze the crimes in this specific region. Here is the filter data for only Pacific area. Doesn't equal to, if you choose doesn't equal to and you write Pacific, for example, it means keep all areas and remove any crime in Pacific area. Begins with, doesn't begin with, end with, doesn't end with will be used if you know part of the text. For example, begins with, and when you write here, for example, SCA, it means keep any area that starts with SCA and remove all the others. Doesn't begin with, if you choose doesn't begin with and you write SCA, it means keep all areas except those start with SCA. Ends with is the same as begin with, but if we choose ends with and I write SCA, it means find or keep data for areas that end with SCA and remove all other data. Doesn't end with, if I write inside this prompt SCA, it means keep all data that doesn't end with SCA and remove the others. Contains, if you know a part of the text but you don't know where is this part, maybe at the beginning of the text, at the end of the text, or in the middle of the text. For example, if I write this, it means any area that has this AL in the beginning, middle, or at the end. So you have these two letters in any part of my area. Doesn't to contain whatever you write here, it will keep all the text that doesn't contain part of text that you write in the prompt. I will remove this filter to get all areas back. If you head to the end of the dataset, the last two columns, latitude and longitude, these are the coordinates of the crime. And in our case, this can be used to build, to be represented in an interactive 3D map. For example, you need to see which area on the map has the highest occurrences of crimes, which area has the lowest occurrence of a specific crime. So these are very important and they need special attention. For example, we need to make sure that you are accurate and there are no errors here. So I should go here and make sure that no empty values and no zeros, because if we have any error here, that will make problems in the map if we represent them in map. And then, okay, we will do the same here. We will remove the empty cells and make sure that we don't have any zeros. Okay. Also, it is very important to make sure that the data type is decimal for these coordinates. It's already decimal. This is the icon of decimal, but if not, you can click and go to the data type to choose decimal number for both. After we finish our edits, we can load our query to the Excel by using close and load. Now we are back to the Excel, and this is the query that we have done right now with all the settings that we have applied, including the cleaned data, removed columns, changed data types, everything you will find it here. And this is the name of the output file that we already changed or added in the Power Query. When you point to the name of this query, you can see a preview here with everything related to this query. You can use this icon to refresh your data. Also, you can see here two extra tabs. Table design, to work with the table design. This is similar to table. For example, you can choose the style, you can change the style of your table. You can adjust all of this setting like remove duplicates, insert a slicer, change the name. So this is normal table design. And we have also query tab that will allow us to work on this table as a query. For example, if you need to go back to the query editor to make more edits, you can either double click here, double click the name of this query, or you can click on edit from query. Delete will delete this query. And if you need to refresh, you can refresh from here. If I want to go back to the query editor to make some more edits, I will double click here or click on edit. And now we are back to the query editor if we need to apply extra edits for this query, or to remove some of the steps that have applied to the query. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, write it in the comments down below. Thank you. See you next video.